All right. Hello. Let's record this once and hopefully I don't make too many mistakes. Hi, it's Lalaxino once again. It's been a while. Recently I moved. I now have a sweatshop in my living room. So many excuses as to why I haven't done a content in many moons, but now we have a little pseudo studio to mess around with. If any of you guys have any ideas of indoor shenanigans that we could make happen, let's do things. That seems like a legitimate position. All right, yeah. Today I wanted to go over the Mten5. Reason being why I want to go over it is the Mten5 has proven to me to be probably one of the most happy tiny wheel experiences as of recent. Considering how much more the ergonomics have improved since prior iterations of unicycles. Usually I'm a little bit of a stickler when it comes to ergo, but the Mten5 is just enough to be able to allow for me to not complain too much about it. Yeah, let's pull it up, I guess. So this thing, it's a unicycle. There are many unicycles like it, but this one is now mine. Mten5 comes with the larger pedals. We've got the 1,000-watt motor. I don't know if they give you any motor specs in here, I forget. But anyways, this one's got a red rim. It's pretty. Euc Ungerground. If you're looking for any unicycle for cheaper than the general retail price, then probably go this way. Anyways, Mten5. This one comes with a street tire. I am a huge fan of street tires, especially when it comes to learning, just because you get to use way more of the tire as far as when you're hitting certain angles. So a lot of the initial riding, when people get into riding, one of the things you want to be able to focus is getting the unicycle to ride on the banks and allow for using the banks to get the unicycle to turn, just because you have that whole tire riding on a conal shape, and it's a whole physics thing. Headlight. That is pretty much same as the A2 and the Mten4. Both of those wheels are still pretty good as far as like teaching. Right now I think the Mten5 and the A2 are probably the best for teaching, with an A2 having a street tire. This I like having because it's nimble, it's easy for people to pick up. Sometimes people end up dumping their wheels, like say if you tell somebody to start on a Master or a Lynx or a Sherman L, those things end up being a little bit cumbersome when you're having to constantly bring things back upright just to be able to, or bring it back upright, and on top of that, when you're throwing it around, twisting, you're doing way more effort than you need to just to understand the little fundamentals. I'm gonna turn this on. So we've got here the stock pads. Usually I don't like stock pads, but these are seemingly tolerable in relation because you've got that little bit of a slant. Brake pad is a little too far back for what I would personally do, but then again, it's just not in the way. I'm happy about that. If some of you will notice when you ever purchase one of these, the thickness on the lower is wider than the upper portion. So that's something huge for me. There's a lot of situations where on older unicycles, I would end up taking a wider piece of foam and then space it out the bottom. Because there's a pad on the top and then not in the bottom, I'm still going to be doing that. But essentially, you're still just that little bit closer to what is ergonomic. Yeah, because when people are riding, generally their foot tends to be at that like little edge of the pedal rather than being completely inside, because when you're inside, then you end up dealing with your knees bowing out just that little bit, and then you end up using more muscle than you need just to be able to stay upright. Anyways, did I just blind you? I'm so sorry. This one ended up being a little glitchy. I don't know. I need to probably redo the firmware. Foam is great. What am I saying foam? I was gonna like staring at these pieces of foam with Velcro, but what I wanted to say was Velcro. Newer wheels, Velcro is kind of the way to go. It saves the engineers an infinite amount of time as far as having to redesign a wheel just to make it for the end user to just rip them off. Yeah, so what I would do in that realm is buy Grizzlas, buy whatever pads you need, make your own, and just slap them at that base. And then if you ever get excited, then you can take some DKL skateboard grip, and then you can throw a sheet of that on, and then you'll be a way happy camper, because you get way more traction, you get the extra bit to be able to jump on potentially, or just control and rip up into the air. What else is there to point out? Yeah, 1,000-watt motor. This is a 750 watt-hour wheel with 50S batteries. 50S batteries are a beautiful time, because prior wheels, a lot of times we've been using 50Es. With the 50Es, we're dealing with just that slightly slower discharge, the discharge output, and then that just gives you that higher likelihood of cutting out, just because the unicycle is not able to discharge fast enough to keep up with whatever you're doing. Yeah, as far as other things, it has the brake light. You get, I forget if you get the same, yeah you do. You get little bits of spinning and turning lights and brake lights. Those are kind of cool. I'm not really one to show off my brake lights, so I kind of just accept whatever for what it is. Yeah, I mean, it's a good unicycle overall. We have a metal mudguard. That's something pretty cool. As long as it doesn't get stuck inside, then it's not an issue. But having no skunk tail is a beautiful time. Handles. This has a built-in trolley handle. M104 did not. M104, usually you would end up having to order the extra thing that would stick off the backside, and then it would be kind of awkward looking. Whereas this is flush with the unicycle. It's not getting in the way of your legs. And all you have to do is pull up and then pull up. If you're very tall, good luck. You might want a little bit more of a trolley handle, or you could squat. It just depends on how committed you are as a human or as a rider. But then again, you don't always see really tall people being interested in tiny wheels. But yeah, if you're big and you like the smaller wheels, good on you. I support your cause. Anyways, putting that thing down, it's neat. Only thing I wish a little bit was for if it had like maybe like a little ratcheting area here, just to be able to lock in place, because when I'm handling it, I generally want to have my handle, this goes with like most unicycles, I like having my handle just a little bit behind that midpoint, just because it ends up being slightly easier to steer when you're turning. Or I could probably point it out right here. I'm going to pin it, pull it from the back, and when I turn it, it's going to inevitably want to swing a little bit to the side. So then that's how I'm kind of doing that steering while I'm just walking this unicycle around. That kind of carries on with the MSX, the RS, the insert every other unicycle from prior that people have been pushing around with the rear trolley handle. S22, there's a lot of people who end up turning that thing around and then using the front handle as a rear handle when you're trolling it through a grocery store or wherever. What else is here? I don't know. It's a unicycle. You've probably seen all the other ones. We could compare height. for the M104. So say with the M104, let's take that, I'm gonna turn that one on, we'll put it upright, and then yeah, here you'll see that the body height of the M105 is just that little bit taller. A lot of people will notice, I did a bunch of stuff on my M104. I redid the foam and insert stuff. I'm using MSX pedals on it. It's kind of fun. Yeah, what happens is when you have a shorter unicycle, a lot of people end up dealing with a lot more shin stress, because in the end, when you're pushing this unicycle, or when you're mounting, you're putting so much pressure on here, you're flicking this in towards your leg. I'm gonna put this onto the thing. Yeah, what happens is when you're pressing down, you are inevitably forcing the unicycle to go sideways in towards your leg. And if your shin is not the strongest, then you have to deal with all of that brute force against your bones. For those of you who do not have stronger bones, I recommend taking a piece of plastic or using a knee guard just a little bit closer, or a shin guard, I guess, depending on if you do the sports. I don't, so if I ever wanted to protect my shins, then I have to pick up another one, or just get stronger shins. Yeah, anyways, yeah, the whole concept is shorter wheel puts more pressure on your leg, taller wheel feels infinitely better because you're not putting as much pressure on your leg. It's just how levers work. Just trust it. Anything else to note? Tire is not as wide as the M105. Sorry, as wide. The M105's tire is not as wide as the M10 Mini. For those of you that purchased an M10 Mini, have fun. I personally love mine, but more than anything as a indoor wheel to mess around with, because you're capped at that 12 miles an hour, whereas the M105 is able to go 25 plus. I haven't tested that, and I don't really want to, because I'm maybe 210 riding, or 210 without gear, and then plus more in that event that I'm wearing gear, riding one of these. Yeah, as far as other notes, headlight's great. It does its job for what you need it to do. Charging port. So with the charging ports, something that has pissed me off in prior iterations, for those of you that have owned M104s, M10 Minis in prior days, you would probably recall that the charging ports are complete garbage, or at least the placements and ergonomics. So say the M104, that's the first one that came out of these three. M103 was fine, but the problem with that was the whole thing was just entire plastic and body flexed way too much. Charging port was very accessible though, but the rubber piece was easily pull-offable. Maybe that's why they ended up covering it on the M104, either that or it just became an oversight where they were just trying to fit everything around a shell and protect things more to dump and crash it. I remember the one video a long time ago where a dude on an M104 in China is just slapping it against a staircase. Anyways, this, like, that took me a little bit more effort than I wanted to. And this is also something that's been worn down. There's a lot of riders who end up having to sneak their finger underneath to be able to get to this. Totally unnecessary. So that, what I ended up doing with my M10 Mini, I eventually might do that with this. I'll show you that right now. So with the M10 Mini, took a zip tie, poked a little hole, or two holes really, to be able to get a zip tie in through the cap. I don't know how well you can see that, but yeah, M10 Mini, poke two holes, run zip tie through the top, then back through it, just to give you a bit of a nub to pull on. Because prior to that, you'd have to reach all the way in to be able to grab. It wasn't comfortable. Some people would have to get pliers or just never attach the foam adhesive onto it just so they could pull the wheel off or pull the tab off. Yeah, I mean, it's another great learning wheel. As far as those who already know how to ride, I love this thing as a parking lot wheel. The M105, you look at that profile, the tire is just wide enough where you're able to be way more reactive, but then it's also slim enough so you're not like, it's slim enough where you're not overcorrecting at speed. Something with the Mini, at least I imagine, is when you're riding at higher speeds. For those of you that aren't familiar with, say, the Z10, it kind of had that issue where it was too wide for its own good. And then when it was hitting certain speeds, then you would end up dealing with a lot of extra wobble because of the overcorrections. Or there's that, and then there's also when you're turning at speed, then you end up having to fight even more just to be able to get it to go sideways because it never wants to stay sideways. Yeah, it's a unicycle. Anyways, I have a little bit of footage of bringing it to early morning group ride, and then yeah, people kind of talk about it. So I'll just give you some raw footage of what happened, and then yeah.
And people are actually more willing to try this out than a normal.
Oh yeah. It seems less intimidating. The irony is the second they got it,
It's so nimble.
oh yeah.
So then they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, much nicer. Yeah, love it. Big upgrade. Look at that mud guard too. Even.
Yeah, the mudguard's beefy.
Dude, how I snap my axles, I was taking this down downhill tracks, going
No, the
25 on. I'm
M105
serious.
isn't tall enough to be able to mount correctly. This one you can still mount
Yep.
Yeah.
under control.
I noticed that you have like shin control kind of. On.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
you can actually push it against
The other
little part of
M10
your
was
shed.
just slightly too.
And that was my
low.
biggest gripe on the
Yeah.
M104.
Yeah, having that taller body, it's a better lever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Because it was so much pressure because the lever was so
Yeah.
low. It was
Yep.
just like,
You have to have it
It's
just
too
slightly
short.
higher so you
Yeah.
can actually get control.
Yeah,
oh, it's so
Yeah,
nice.
on the M104 you have to like jump.
Did it come with this tire lock?
it does.
That is the
Yeah.
right
That's a good
tire.
tire.
they
That's what I
released
have.
this time.
Yep.
Nice fat tire.
Okay. Last
I've
time
got-
it was chunky, like even chunkier
Yeah,
than this.
extra wide,
And it
especially
was
on the
like
knobby.
riding on speed bumps.
Uh-huh. Or in cobblestone more.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, like cobblestone, exactly.
Yeah.
It's louder than the engine. That's really cool. Do you hear the crunch too?
Yeah.
How much is it? You selling?
Yeah, Euc Ungerground. I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have my phone number?
Yeah, I'll get you. Yeah.
This is the best wheel to learn how to go back and forth.
No, I know. I've been trying to
Oh,
work
you
on
have?
backwards,
Okay,
but
okay.
Yeah.
it's
That
easier
was
actually
clean.
on one of these.
You deflate the tire. We deflate the tire a little bit,
Yeah.
and it's a cakewalk.
That's true.
These are actually pretty.
I bought for
Yeah.
$800. It was a great tool. It stops
Yeah.
actually really fast. I was taking it downhill bike tracks, literally, and it
Yeah.
was making it. Like it has
Try
enough
going
torque to do
backwards again.
jumps.
Try and write it out. It's a lot easier to catch yourself on one of these.
There you go.
Or not.
Sort of.
Yeah, but it's great. And
Nice.
You've seen the trolley handle on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. It's actually, I actually don't mind this.
Yeah, try bringing the trolley handle up. So
Yeah.
you watch your finger. There you go.
And then
And it just pulls up, and then you just push it from there.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
installed
actually
the
is,
third party one on mine.
because it's so small.
Yeah.
It's nice because like I could fit this in like a backpack or something. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then like if you're down on the strip or something,
Lift switch.
I push the button.
Yeah. No. As far as having like a in-car parking lot wheel, this is probably the one right now.
Oh, it is for sure.
Yeah.
I still
That's
think I
why I
like the A2 a little
Yeah.
bit more in terms of stability, but
I could
they
feel a little
fixed
bit
it.
of the stability part, but
They fixed it from the N104.
it's kind of like once you get used to it though.
Yeah. It's just making sure that your leg is still at that midpoint.
Right.
So because it's a slightly lower body than a regular like larger wheel, then you have to bring your leg even more forward than you did before.
You know what's funny about the M10 in my opinion is it taught me how to learn without using my legs.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing because I'm so used to
is-
using my legs.
So it's actually really good because when you get extreme speed wobbles, if I just let the wheel do its
Yeah.
thing, And this
It'll
taught
walk
me to
its
do
way
it.
out.
Yeah,
Well, that's what you're
because-
supposed to do. Like even motorcycles, you're just supposed to
Yep.
ride it out.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
just like, look,
Let go and-
like the
yeah.
M10,
Yeah,
I don't even
ride
touch
it out.
My feet are on both sides of it. I'm not even
Yeah.
touching the darn
Yeah.
thing.
No,
Press
yeah.
that, I can see this really nice. Like,
Yeah.
I'm super
See, and I was so used to like having to hit my side. That's
Constant
why
contact.
I'm still used to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see Law when he does
If
this
I hit a
thing.
pothole, I'd be fine.
Oh
Wait,
wow.
what the hell was that?
Throwing it.
Just how stable this is. I'm so stable. Even like that, it's super comfortable.
Nice.
That's not a fun sound.
Yeah, these things, when I put jump pads on mine,
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's what I was
it's
gonna
so
say.
light, you
Put
can
a little
lift
jump
this up,
pad
oh,
on
I'm
it.
jumping
You're
3 feet off the floor with it. It was amazing.
But how does it land? Like, does it land all right?
It's fine. Just be ginger with
The
it.
new one,
Yeah.
you have to be gentle in this.
Because
new
if
one,
you land just a little bit forwards or something, you might.
Yeah.
the axle on this is a little stronger now. though.
Yeah. It's better than say the M10-3 for sure.
Yes, that feels
Where-
better than an M10-3.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And this thing,
For sure.
I don't know. You,
Yeah.
Yeah, it stops on like a dime.
It's good. Yeah. That one's a 50S.
Yeah.
So
oh, it
with-
is.
Yeah. You get the extra
like-
output out of it, and it's
like if I try to push against you, it's got torque.
yeah.
Dude, it's got torque.
You get way more safety out of it for sure.
Look, I'm pushing.
Yeah, you are pushing me.
It's got torque. It's got torque.
It's got torque.
Yeah.
So much torque.
Like it with no beep.
No beep.
No beep.
No beep.
Dude, literally.
Yeah.
So like
That-
if you're trying to push a car and you had 3 of these,
But can you
You're there.
push the
Got it.
battery?
Yeah.
I love this thing. I
Yeah.
wish I had my M10
Or buy one of these.
or buy one of these.
Huh? Yeah.
A little cha-cha.
Yeah. Cha-cha
It's
dancing.
so easy to dance on. It's so tiny.
It is nimble.
It's
Very.
so nimble to the point where I want some pedals.
Yeah, and see,
Yeah.
I'm just so used to
Yeah,
my
no, it's
22.
encouraged.
I want to dig it sideways.
It's safe
Yeah.
to do that.
But
It
you can,
is.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's such a fun wheel. This is
Yeah.
Marshall makes fun of these. These are easily one of my favorite wheels.
It's because he hasn't put in enough time.
Yeah.
Don't hold it up.
It's a fun. It's literally just pure fun.
He knocked it before he tried it.
Riding this thing,
Yeah. Look.
it's so
Literally. Yeah. Within half a parking spot.
Yeah, your turning radius.
That's a quarter of a parking spot.
Yeah. He's literally
there.
turning on a nickel. So.
Yeah.
because of the extra bits of like, because the tire's so wide.
The tire.
Yes.
It's this round
Yes.
and it's this and the profile of it. The round.
So when
It's
you're
so
on the
smooth.
finish,
Actually read one-footed.
When you're teaching how to ride a UC in general, one of the things that people rely on is understanding that bank.
Yeah.
Because you're not just doing the twisting, say on a bicycle.
Yeah.
You're doing the leaning.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Oh,
this
there's a camera.
accommodates for that and really.
It almost forces you to.
Yes.
Kind of.
It
Yeah.
wants you to.
Yeah.
So that's why I think either this or say like the A2 are the most optimal
I
wheels
agree.
to be teaching on right now.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I bought the Master, got the
Yeah.
M10, and it actually made my Master riding better by riding that.
Yeah.
Like,
That's cool. There's so because
Yeah.
you're at a smaller scale, you're able to
Work on different types of.
you're able to play more.
and it's less
you're
about the
not-
weight of the wheel and what you're doing with your body.
Correct, but then you get the
actually.
agility of how to work through a wheel at a small pace,
Yeah.
and you can transfer those to the bigger wheel.
Yeah.
It's less
In just
detrimental.
different
It's
ways.
way less detrimental when you dump it.
Yeah.
Or,
Oh, yeah.
So because you're not dumping the $3,000 unicycle that you just picked up.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You're dumping the $800 that you know can take the hit.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So-
I started out on a
Curious
V5,
what
but I would have
you
rather
feel
started
on
off
the
on something
new
like
Same.
that.
So would I
E20
have.
for
Yeah,
learning.
agreed.
E20 for learning is for infants or like people who literally have absolutely no coordination
Yeah.
and aren't.
I'd get one
willing
for
to-
my
But,
wife.
but do you think
Yeah.
that it actually helps
Practice in the house. Yeah.
train the same muscles or no?
So the reason you get the E20 is to understand the feeling of self-balancing
Yeah.
and then give people a little bit of confidence to be able to
Yeah.
start riding. Like for the people who don't even know how to ride a bicycle.
Yeah.
Whereas, say this one, if you have somebody that can ride a bicycle, you can probably teach them how to ride this as long as you're doing the right form of teaching. Because there's a lot of people who teach with sticks or shopping carts, but that's not encouraging fundamentals. It's like teaching a kid to ride a bicycle
With training wheels,
Yeah.
you lose
Kids
half
with
the muscle
training
memory.
wheels don't learn
Yeah.
how to ride bicycles. They
Yeah.
learn how to ride a car.
What about the
Yeah.
brushes? Have you ever heard about that? People putting the brushes
I
underneath?
almost agree with brushes,
Yeah.
but why not just go straight into it?
I know.
As long as you have somebody who's alongside you to get you off
And hold.
starting off on the initial out the gate. That's another thing. So there's a little magnet here. So
Oh, yeah.
that when you're done using this, it's awesome. So you're pushing whatever, throw it down into that direction. It just stays.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
The design is nice.
Yes. And
Yeah.
then it comes with Velcro out the gate. I had to
Oh,
do this
really?
extra piece of foam right here.
Oh, they actually have Velcro for pads
It
built
comes with
in.
Velcro
I
out
had to
the
buy
gate.
the whole
It
fairing
comes with
plates
this
back in the
little-
day.
It comes
Yeah.
with this pad, you just tear it off.
Yeah.
You can throw
See,
whatever you
that's
want
nice.
on top of that.
Yeah.
So it allows for all the people who in the DIY scene just to be able to
That's what
Customize
they
it
want to start
right away.
doing with more wheels.
Yeah, no, that's what's happening.
Because the wheels are very personable.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
You ride somebody else's wheel and it feels different immediately.
Yes.
They have it set up for them,
Yes.
and yeah.
That's definitely one of the more beautiful things about EUC, just because when you're riding, you don't have handlebars. You're not disconnected from the experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're very much connected to it, and it's
Yeah.
part of you. Actually, it becomes
Exactly.
a part of you. So
Yeah.
And you know
Yeah,
that when
no.
it's pure adrenaline, you hit a
Yeah.
pothole you're unexpecting, and it's all just instinct to muscle memory, and you're
Yep.
able
Yeah.
to survive.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's how I know I'm like, oh, it's literally part
it's
of my.
literally a part of you
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
unless it's gonna cut out on me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I guess we're still recording.
I just kept going. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to buy an M105, then Euc Ungerground. If you want to go through me, or any of my buddies on the race team, or any other affiliates of Euc Ungerground. Yeah. BEGODE's great. I mean, people are a little sketched about the current firmwares recently, but those things get patched in within a couple months, if that. And right now, M105, I haven't had any issues with this thing. There's the overheating, but in newer units that you're potentially purchasing, they already come with the newer heatsink, so you're not going to have to deal with that same issue.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm Balak Sina. This is unicycles. Spend money. Love you.
Ow!